Hello, my name is Dario Romero, and in this video I'll be talking about the adjustment of status process through a family-based petition. Here, we need two main applications, the I-130 and the I-485. So the I-130 is when a family member is petitioning for another family member, and the second application, the I-485, that's the actual application for the adjustment of status to become a U.S. permanent resident. There are other ways that you can become a permanent resident, but that can be usually through asylum. It can also be through a U visa grant, employment-based, but in this video we'll be talking about the family-based petition portion of it. So first, the I-130, that's when family members petitioning for another. So that can be a U.S. citizen or a U.S. resident, parent, or spouse, or a U.S. citizen child 21 years or older, or a U.S. citizen sibling. Now, what we have to prove is that the relationship is legitimate. Usually the harder one to show is a marriage. But if a couple has children in common, usually it's a lot easier. If not, then we have to support with more documents to show that they are a legitimate couple. For example, banking records, lease agreements, mortgage together, anything that supports that relationship. Now, as to the processing time, this can take anywhere from 6 to 18 months. It's hard to say right now because due to Corona, that could have affected the immigration processing time and it could have delayed it. As to the filing fees, at the moment of this video, October 2020, it's $535. It was supposed to go out higher, but there was a higher court that put a stop to the fee increase. So it is possible that in the future it can be $560, $550, depending on the outcome of that case. Alright, so let's go to the next slide here. Now the I-485, that's the actual application to become a U.S. resident. 1, we have to make sure a visa is available. 2, we have to make sure that you don't have any disqualifying crimes. 3, we have to make sure that you don't have any contagious diseases that will make you ineligible. And 4, you're not a public charge. So the I-130 approval is significant because without that, we can't continue with this application. Also, depending on the type of relationship you have with the petitioner, the person who petitions for you, there could be delays as to when that visa becomes available. Where there is zero wait is when you have a U.S. citizen spouse or child, a U.S. citizen spouse, or when you have a child 21 years or older that's a U.S. citizen. Everything else is subject to the visa bulletin, and that changes from month to month. And as to the criminal history, it all depends whether you've been arrested, whether you have been convicted. There's certain crimes for immigration that may disqualify you. There's other cases where it might not. Now, as to the public charge, usually we'll just submit a financial sponsor to show that this person makes enough money, they're going to sponsor you so you do not become a public charge. Now, with the recent changes in 2020, they're asking more questions about that. They want to make sure that you're not going to live off the government, and they look at whether you have requested public benefits in the past. They look at your employment history, your age, your education. So now it's a totality of circumstance analysis in determining whether or not you're going to be a public charge. The filing fees, again, same thing. Right now, with the higher court putting a stop on the fee increase, right now the filing fee is $1,225. However, that can change depending on the outcome of the case. If you have to pay the penalty under 245I, and that's when you have entered illegally into the country, but you have an old application protecting you, then you have to pay a $1,000 penalty. Also, if you have a military spouse or child and you entered illegally, then you also may qualify for this, but there's still an additional step that one has to take. And part of this packet, there are other forms that are submitted. For example, the employment authorization document. There's also the travel document. Right now, there is no additional fee for that. However, if the changes do occur, then the immigration is going to charge separate fees for each one. And there are other forms that go with this packet that are not as important for me to talk about today, but they are very important to be included in the packet. Tips: also be prepared for your interview. Most of the time there is an interview, the immigration officer will review your application and ask you questions about the relationship and whether or not if you're eligible for the adjustment of status. Again, get a legal advice, go get a consultation if you have any concerns regarding criminal history, if there's been any misrepresentation, if you've been married multiple times and you're not sure if you're properly divorced, anything like that, any doubt, give us a call, 602-544-0607. I mainly help clients here in Arizona in the Phoenix metropolitan area. Again, 602-544-0607. Thank you and have a nice day.